The reason I really wanted my own copy of the reasoning book again, it was made in like what, 1989 is when it was first made, and there's a lot of old light in this book still, and it's still in circulation. They still print these and stock them at the Kingdom Hall. But the point that I wanted to share with you guys was the point about false prophets. So if you go into the contents page in the front, yeah, it's like if you look in the very first page, it under false prophets, it'll give you page number 132, page 132. When I read this, because I went through a phase when I was pioneering where I realized that I was baptized at a very young age. I was baptized at like 11 years old, I think it was. And at that time, I had a very small amount of biblical knowledge. And to be completely honest, I could not effectively defend my beliefs or the doctrines that Jehovah's Witnesses believed at that time. And as I got older and I started pioneering, I realized that I wanted to be a more effective minister. So what I started doing is I started just tearing this book apart and writing down my own notes so that I could remember and very effectively reply to all kinds of criticism against the Jehovah's Witnesses, right? That ended up being my downfall because of some of the things I read in this book. And in the false prophets section, under the section, the subheading says, "Have not Jehovah's Witnesses made errors in their teachings?" This blew me away, what it says on this page. It's page 136 of the reasoning book. It says, "Jehovah's Witnesses do not claim to be inspired prophets. They have made mistakes. Like the apostles of Jesus Christ, they have at times had some wrong expectations." The key point of this paragraph for me being when they state Jehovah's Witnesses do not claim to be inspired prophets. When you are raised a Jehovah's Witness, it's ingrained upon you that the Jehovah's Witnesses are the mouthpiece, the governing body, the faithful and discreet slave. These men are God's channel. The things that they write go hand in hand with the Bible and is approved by God. Like, this is the mentality you have being raised as a witness. This is what you assume. And it is hinted at, especially in some of the older publications. Some of the older watchtowers made statements comparing themselves to the prophets of old. I mean, this is what they give you. This is the impression that they give you. And then when you read a statement like this from their own mouths, Jehovah's Witnesses do not claim to be inspired prophets. They have made mistakes. So if they're not inspired prophets, then how come they made you feel guilty for questioning them even a little bit? Remember all those parts about Korah and how he was swallowed up by the earth because he questioned Moses and he murmured? And they said, well, the same thing, we want to be careful of being like Korah and the congregation if we're murmuring and questioning the brothers. Wrong. Because according to this, Jehovah's Witnesses do not claim to be inspired prophets. Moses was an inspired prophet of God. Questioning him meant death by Jehovah. According to this statement from their own mouths, this does not apply to the Jehovah's Witnesses. They are nothing more than men who make mistakes. Like the apostles of Jesus Christ. Judas was an apostle. I realized later why they wrote this. this is a disclaimer. This is a get-out-of-jail-free card for them. Because all the times that they have made mistakes, all the court battles that they fought against elders doing terrible things and child molesting cases and et cetera, this is how they get out of being at fault. This is how they get out of being lumped in with the false prophet category and being guilty of the terrible things Jehovah says he's going to do to them in the Bible. They're not lumped in with the false prophets because in this paragraph, this one sentence is their get-out-of-jail-free card. Jehovah's Witnesses do not claim to be inspired prophets. Therefore, we're not false prophets. Video one time, a governing body member was defending a court battle of something that had happened. I remember seeing it a long time ago, right before I came out. And the language he used, he said, Jehovah's Witnesses do not claim to be anything more than earnest Bible students. They're not prophets, they are just earnest Bible students. And when I heard that, combined with what this paragraph said, it became very clear to me that these are just people. They are just men. Jehovah does not speak through them. Therefore, they need to be questioned. They need to be scrutinized. And that's what I did. I started thinking critically and doing research and digging up every bit of information that I could on past articles and publications. And what I found is that it becomes abundantly clear that if Jehovah God exists, he does not favor the Jehovah's Witnesses over any other religion. There is no evidence to suggest that the Jehovah's Witnesses have some higher understanding or blessing than any other religious group. And I think that is worth repeating and is worth sharing. And I hope you thought so too. If you read a little further on this same page, it says, Jesus also described a many-featured sign that would tie in with the fulfillment of time prophecies to identify the generation that would live to see the end of Satan's wicked system of things. So even as current as this book that they still use, you can find evidence of where they think that there is a singular generation from 1914 that will live to see the end of Satan's wicked system of things. In fact, an even more obvious nod to this is on page 200. On page 200, subheading 8, where it says last days. It says they believe, talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, they believe that we are living now since 1914 in the last days of this wicked system of things, that some who saw the events of 1914 will also see the complete destruction of the present wicked world, that lovers of righteousness will survive into a cleansed earth. So they still have a book containing old light in their library that you can pick up from your own Kingdom Hall and read how right there it says not so long ago they believed that people who were alive in 1914 would also see the complete destruction of the present wicked world. They're wrong. Wrong again. And yet you're not allowed to question them?